What's up everyone, Chris here from Mainely Mesh, and today I'm going to be talking about the 3 biggest mistakes I made and I see other players make when they're starting lacrosse. And honestly, these mistakes apply to players at much higher levels as well. So even if you're a little more experienced, I think you should watch this video. Both when looking back upon my lacrosse career and as a coach trying to introduce new players to the game, there's some pretty common mistakes I see being made that I think kind of hinder people's access to the sport. Lacrosse is a wonderful sport, and what's particularly cool about it is that it's accessible to a whole wide range of body types. One of my favorite little tidbits, and I'll include it in the link down below, is the origin myth of lacrosse. To summarize, basically what it says is that there was a mouse and a squirrel that were trying to participate in one of the first games of lacrosse, and they were kind of rejected from the land mammals, including the deer and the bear, for being too small. And so they went to the birds, and the birds welcomed them with open arms, but thought they had to strategize a little bit in order to include them on their team. They used the leather from a drum to turn the mouse into a bat, and they stretched out the skin of the squirrel to make a flying squirrel. And within this myth, what's particularly cool is that each animal has a different strength. So the owl and the hawk have vision, deer has its speed, the bear has its strength, the turtle has its durability, and the modern game of lacrosse really reflects this. So there is no limit to your potential within lacrosse just because of your body type, and that is absolutely proven at the pro level. There are pro lacrosse players who are as short as 5'5" and as tall as 6'6". There are string bean midfielders, jacked face-off guys, and quite frankly, a couple of attackmen with a little bit of a belly. And I know that's a bit of a long intro, but basically what I'm saying is that the mistakes that I'm talking about here have nothing to do with your athletic ability, nothing to do with strength training or anything like that. It's just kind of common mistakes that are easily fixed that will help you perform better and enjoy this sport more. The first biggest mistake I see is a hesitancy to try new things. Growing up, I was always the kid who was playing wall ball as much as possible, but that didn't necessarily mean I was doing it right. And what I mean by that is I would spend 30 minutes, an hour a day, making sure I got my reps in, working on my overhand, maybe branching into some Canadian or stuff like that. But I was really hesitant to try those kind of unnecessary skills. And in retrospect, I really regret that. I didn't start introducing stuff like shovel passes or behind the backs or around the worlds into my wall ball routine until I was probably like 23 or 24. And what I realized is pushing yourself in that way and trying to add new skills just enhances your hand-eye coordination and your connection with your stick in a way that kind of those basic fundamentals don't access. So I'm going to address this in my wall ball video, but one of the things I always try to do when I'm playing wall ball is to find a new skill that I fail at half of the time. If I'm not dropping the ball either in practice or when playing wall ball, quite frankly, I don't think I'm pushing my skills hard enough. I need to know that I am making mistakes in order to get that feedback that I'm trying something new and therefore improving my skills overall. So you have to get comfortable with making mistakes. Mistakes are the proof that you are pushing your skills and getting better. I promise you, if you can add and incorporate those new skills into your wall ball routines, challenge yourself to catch a pass lefty or play an entire practice with your offhand, that's when you're gonna start really seeing those gains and really seeing your game as a whole improve. Mistake number 2 really dovetails off of that first mistake that I see. And that mistake is people don't practice catching enough. There is no more enjoyable offensive or defensive player to play lacrosse with than a person who catches everything thrown their way. And while yes, some of it might be natural ability in terms of that kid who just has unbelievable stick skills and hand-eye coordination, frankly, a lot of it is practice. Again, if you're playing wall ball, you need to challenge yourself by not just throwing a nice even pass that comes right back to your loaded position. You need to be able to challenge yourself by learning how to catch off stick, learning how to catch off hip, learning how to catch one-handed, away from your body, throwing yourself junk passes and learning how to react to them. It is a trainable skill that is completely underappreciated by both players and coaches. All too often, and this is for you coaches out there, I see coaches when a bad pass is made and a player can't catch the hard catch, they yell at the person who threw the bad pass. Bad passes happen in lacrosse, especially at the youth level, especially at the high school level, and yelling at someone for making a bad pass is really just reinforcing the negative feedback that they already got from that terrible pass. If I throw a pass really low, I know I messed up. And if you encourage your player who doesn't make that hard catch to then turn on his teammate and get mad at him, you're really reinforcing negative attitudes on your team as a whole instead of challenging your athletes to learn how to catch the bad passes. If you can refocus that whole mindset onto, hey, can I catch every single pass thrown within my vicinity? First of all, you're going to be a more positive teammate. And second of all, if you can tap into that skill set, you're going to be a blast to play with and really have a better shot at playing at the next level. And the third mistake is really the closest I'm going to get to any sort of physical conditioning, and that's working on your footwork. In lacrosse, since we have these wonderful, beautiful, enjoyable sticks to play with, we often neglect our lower bodies. And I can't tell you how many youth players and middle school players and even high school players who are spending so much time worried about whether they can throw or shoot sidearm or whatever, and don't even have the basic dodging capabilities to access the game at a higher level. But you gotta remember the old adage, the legs feed the wolf, and push yourself as much as possible to have a solid footwork base. And this absolutely applies to defensemen as much as it applies to offensive players. Now, how do we do this? With social media, we have seen plenty of funky little footwork drills you can do to try to work on your quick twitch muscles and stuff. Quite frankly, a lot of it is also playing multiple sports. If you are only playing lacrosse as a defenseman, you're missing out on an entire footwork repertoire that the basketball world holds you. As an offensive player, you might be missing out on the agility drills that soccer teams practice all the time. If you're a midfielder, you might be missing out on the sprint technique that track could teach you. Within every additional sport you can play, there's a skill set that will also help translate to lacrosse, and we've seen the best lacrosse players also played other sports, at least in high school and oftentimes even in college. And again, just because you're not the fastest player in the world doesn't mean that this is a super valuable skill set for you. Slower players can make up for their lack of speed with solid footwork technique, whether that's a dodging base or defensive technique, and that efficiency of motion can really help overcome any limitations you might have physically. So that's all I have for you all today. You guys are gonna see some of these thoughts incorporated in a couple videos coming up when I go into my wall ball routine and stuff like that. But if you have any questions, please ask them in the comments down below. Also, I would love to hear below if you guys have any big mistakes that you see, especially from you older players who might be out of the game a little bit more and kind of looking back on things. Or ask any questions down below, even if it's about, hey, how do I work on catching and stuff like that. I read all of your comments and they actually really help inspire me to make new videos. So there's a lot of stuff I forget about from time to time. So when you throw those comments down, it helps me out and it helps me give you guys better content. Thanks so much, everyone. Like, comment, subscribe. I will catch you guys next time.